Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver. My mission is to make you excited about organic Japanese green tea, and today what we're gonna dive into is this brittle tea, which I think you might like very much. What is this tea called? This tea is a Fukamushi Sencha. Fukamushi means deep steamed tea. Fuka means deep and mushi, steaming. Very simple. Translated directly into English, when you type it on Google, you find definitely some sources which can tell you a lot about Fukamushi style green tea and a lot of different teas which are nowadays coming more and more into vogue. And actually Fukamushi is quite a young technique to do green tea. This is dating from shortly after the Second World War, where the tea industry in Japan was in a crisis, as the US, which was one of their main exporting countries after the Second World War, the Japan and the US were not so deep friends anymore, let's say it like that. So the whole market of the US broke away, and then the Japanese had to think about, okay, how do we sell actually our tea inside of Japan, where also nothing against the Westerners, but the demand for a good quality and good tasting green tea was a little bit higher than apparently by the Europeans or the people coming or living in the United States drinking green tea. So that's what a little bit the reason why this was then developed, or it was actually a solution which somebody came up with after brewing the tea or after steaming the tea. So normally when you harvest the green tea, then you have to put it into a steam bath. In Japan, in China often you also use pans where you really can heat the leaves and then kill the enzymes which turn then the tea into black tea or a fermented tea like a oolong, for example. So that's actually what they did, is that they just took the leaves, they steamed them for longer, and this was especially used for low quality sencha, which had a high light exposure and which had also a little bit more of a bitter or a stronger bitter taste, a tart taste, and also a little bit of a drier kind of a drying taste note on the top of the tongue. But actually what this deep steaming method then did actually to the tea is that it sweetened it a little bit in terms of taste. So you could make a bitter tea which was quite low quality, still a very nice, a little bit more sweet and not such an astringent and dry and tart tasting tea. So finally it could turn a better or kind of a worse quality sencha into still quite an enjoyable drink. But what actually happens when you do the Fukamushi steeping method, and this is also the first reason I want to dive into why you might like the Fukamushi. So the reason there, what happens exactly, is that the deeper steaming breaks down some of the polyphenols, catechins, bitter particles. So what it does actually is that it suppresses and it reduces the amount of polyphenols in the tea, and then makes the tea sweeter because it gives more space to the theanine and to other particles in the green tea. So what actually happens is, and this also I read up, for example, when you have the ORAC value, which is simply said just the value of the oxidative or kind of the detoxifying effect in your body of the tea, it reduces it, especially for the first brewing. So the first brewing will be quite nice, quite sweet, and in the upcoming brewings the tea doesn't become very bitter, but you still have a lot of the polyphenols, and then after 6 brewings a Fukamushi sencha can still maintain or nearly come to a normal level of a normal sencha. So there's not a big difference, but in terms of taste, especially for the first brewing, there you notice it that the Fukamushi has a very beautiful, very sweet taste. Aesthetic wise, it doesn't look good. I often had the remark of people receiving our teas as like, oh, your tea is low quality, look at this brittle tea, This is really not a good quality, but this is actually what Fukamushi is. Fukamushi looks like this because what happens is that the density or the cell density breaks down, it lowers, and then by rolling the tea leaves, they not only break easier, but they also become smaller parts. And that's the main reason why Fukamushi, on the terms of just aesthetic side, often people don't think it's a very beautiful tea, because finally you have a tea which is just smaller needles and sometimes a little bit powdery. So I can really show you this here. So in the back you can see that there's a little bit of a powdery form also on my finger. So it is not a very beautiful long leaf Sencha. Or from China, we also know that the needle or the niceness or the kind of beautiful shape of the needles is something very important. Here with this tea, it is just not given. But knowing that this then enhances the sweet taste, I'm absolutely convinced that the Westerner palate, once you discover this Fukamushi style tea, this is something you definitely might like, if you also are open to a little bit of a savory and a full-bodied taste profile. Then a second thing which is pretty cool about the Fukamushi, it is due to the fact that it has smaller leaves, it's very easy to brew. Instead of being 1 minute, you already can, so I used 5 grams of this tea, you already can take the tea out after 40 seconds. So after 40 seconds, this one is actually brewed. What I suggest you, when you use the Fukamushi style green tea, look that you have a kyusu, which has actually a strainer which goes around. So this strainer, you can see it here, it really goes around the whole teapot. This is a typically Fukamushi style teapot where you really have the strainer going all around, and this is definitely something which is worthwhile once you're diving into this world of Fukamushi. The problem of Fukamushi can be that for a traditional kyusu, it can block or clog the holes at the top or at the front here, if the holes are only at the front, and then it's harder just not only to bring it into your tea, in your glass, but also that the tea continues to brew and then gets bitter while you're trying to get it out of the kyusu. So 40 seconds are gone, and what we can see is that it is very, very easy to brew. You can see after just a short amount of time, and this is also very typical for the Fukamushi Sencha, you have very, very beautiful liquor. So you can see a very beautiful green, even a little bit of particles there at the moment swimming around, but they will sediment at the bottom already. You can see the little bit that I have some sediments at the bottom. So very simple to brew, and you can go up to even 6 brewings with the Fukamushi. Even though the tea leaves are smaller, still they're able to give a very beautiful and very good flavor. Good. So number 2, very simple to brew. And number 3, and this is now my preferred part of the whole daily sip, is that the taste is amazingly sweet, especially in the first brewing. So let's go into this first brewing. I must admit, this is a Yutaka Midori Sencha, and Yutaka Midori is especially made with Fukamushi, becoming a very sweet and very beautiful tasting tea. Still, you will have a little bit of a kind of this freshness, this citrusy tone swinging with the tea, but you have such a nice smoothness, sweetness in the front of the tea, giving the fruitiness. You have papaya, you have mango, a little bit of pineapple as well. So very, very nice. In terms of taste, so it gives the Fukamushi, or it gives the green tea a very smooth and beautiful taste note. So the sweetness, and this is also a point which is quite important, this is the number 3 here in terms of taste. I believe that the Fukamushi Sencha in general all over suits very well our Western palate. You can sometimes find Fukamushi Senchas which are quite cheap, so even when they are a little bit of lower grade, they do them Fukamushi, they become sweet and you can enjoy it quite a bit. And this is the beauty about the Fukamushi Sencha. This is something you definitely can enjoy and should enjoy. Dive a little bit into this world of the Fukamushi style Sencha, and then you will discover these 3 different parts. So number 1, as we said, is that you have suppressed bitterness, so in terms of sweetness, still very good, but also on ORAC value, so in the detoxifying, still at the same level. So it's a less sweet taste, less bitter taste, and then also on the ORAC side, so on this detoxifying side, a very, very, very good tea. It is very simple to do, so you only brew it for 45 seconds, and number 3 is the beautiful taste, which is not only sweet, but there's also a richness in the taste, kind of a full bodiness, which just only develops over the beautiful kind of roundness of the Fukamushi style brewing. So this is definitely something you might dive into once. Discover it for yourself, try it out for yourself. I will keep enjoying this tea. I definitely go over steeping number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this tea just holds its nice, beautiful kind of sweet profile over different brewings, because often when you have a bitter tasting tea, it's the first brewing which is very strong and very bitter. And when you can just handle this with the Fukamushi steeping, then you have a first brewing which is very sweet, and then the bitterness comes a little bit in, but still it gives this citrusy, refreshing note, and this not drifting up off too much into the unpleasant bitter notes. Good, this was this. I hope that you like this one. Very short Fukamushi introduction, the 3 reasons why you might like, or your Western palate might like, the Fukamushi style brewing. So thanks a lot for watching, and if you ever have a question, do not hesitate. Put your comments down below, write me a message, Instagram, we are even on TikTok now, so we're a little bit everywhere. So just write me a message or write me an email on info@nio.ch, nio.ch, and then there you can reach me with no problem. Please don't hesitate. My name is Oliver. Thanks a lot for watching. See you and bye bye.